Okay, everyone, today's video is going to be quick, it's going to be sharp, and it's going to be really informative. So we're just going to talk about, what Bitcoin has been up to, what has it done, and could we have entered a few trades based on the setups that were given? I believe we've had a few decent setups over the last few days. Let's take a look. All right, cool. So the trade we could have entered is all the way up there. So what was I saying? If you look at last week's streams or last week's videos, I was saying, right, there's a chance that we break out this range that's in blue. Okay. There's a chance we break out this range, but we're going to be checking out the range highs to see if we get a change in market structure, change in a nice reaction play there. And then I said, if we don't, these two zones, this 2 hour zone and this daily zones, that's a very key place where we can get a rotation from. Okay, a nice little rotation. So I'm going to take a look in a sec whether we got a rotation from the 2 hour or the daily. Okay, and whether we got a nice flipping structure, which would have been, of course, our confirmation to get into that trade. Bang. So this is exactly what happened. All right. We didn't really get a flip off of the range high. So we didn't get a range deflection, but we did, we kind of went into that 2 hour zone and then we got a nice flip in market structure off of that 2 hour zone. All right. So that would have been a decent trade. Very good trade. Congrats if you got into that one. I didn't get into that one because I've been slacking. And I have not been on the charts because Bitcoin has been a bit boring, to be honest. It's been boring, in my opinion, based on the way I trade. So we're going to talk about how you could have entered that trade, and we're going to see, what the future holds. So we're going to exercise the bar replay tool, who are around here, all right, and we're going to see how we could have entered that trade and capitalize off of that move. So if we zoom in, we're going to drop down maybe to about I think the 10 minute will do. So if we drop down to the 10 minute, we can see on the 10 minute here that we're still creating higher highs and higher lows as we tend towards this zone. This zone is this gray box. Okay, so we use the bar replay tool. What happens? So as we tend towards that gray box, we're creating higher highs and higher low. And we haven't quite tagged that zone yet. So what am I thinking at the moment? Well, at the moment, I'm thinking, well, I'm watching the charts. My alert's gone off. So at this point, my alerts has gone off. I'm going to go on to 15 because this is really slow. My alert's gone off. All right. So I'm looking to see where is my last high low in order for me to enter this trade. Well, first of all, we can see here that my last high low is right around here. So I got a message on Discord the other day saying that people are unable to open my charts on Discord. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start to get into the habit of reading out the actual numerical value, so the price line, so that you can simply add these into your chart. So what we've got here is a last high low coming in at around 65,328. Okay, so we're playing this and see as soon as we get a flip in market structure, that's your indication to enter that trade. So we're playing, we're seeing what price is going to do. Is it going to dip in? Is it going to close below that level? We're waiting patiently. All right, we get a tiny little wick, which is not great. This wick suggests we could potentially get a rotation all the way back up. The wick definitely suggests we haven't yet broken that level. Okay, so we're still waiting. What do we do instead? So we pause that and we say, right, we're going to extend this line because that we can still get a valid break. Perhaps you move it further down to encompass that wick. And then we're playing around, we're waiting to see what price is going to do next. Okay, we can see that bang, then price breaks down. Price closes down decisively, and you can see the close actually happened here. We can see the close happen here. We got a slight retracement here before we flush down. So where could you have entered that trade? You could have entered that short on that retracement or off of the close. You would have had to put your stop loss up there, and we're going to see how well that trade would have done. Okay, so you'd have been at that trade all the way from, that entry would have been at 65,456. So not a bad place to enter that trade. Now, if you missed that entry, could you have gotten a second entry? Well, let's take a look. So we had a first leg down, we had a retracement, all right? And not only did we get a retracement, we actually got a retracement into the larger market structure zone. So if we look at our uptrend as high, 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 low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, break structure bearishly, creating actually the break would have happened here actually then. The break structure here bearishly, creating that flip in market structure. We can then see that we get the retracement up here, which comes back into our zone. Remember, we always talk about that. And then bang, we get another flush down. So if you were looking at the larger scale market structure, hey, you'd have got an entry right around there. Stop loss all the way up there. Okay. Well, actually, if you wanted to be really tidy, you could have put your stop loss um, at this level here, because that's your reconfirmation as soon as you saw a second flipping structure. So we're going to look at a risk to reward if we had a stop loss up there. We're going to look at a risk to reward if we had our stop loss up there. But we're going to come back to that in a sec. So we keep playing. So now we have another leg down. Okay, we have another flush down. Price seems to do this, what looks like a nice little accumulation here. It gives you the vibe that it's about to go back up. All right, it has a tap 1, tap 2, tap 3. Although that tap 3 doesn't quite take it above that range high. Because if you look on a 1 hour, quickly take a look on the 1 hour. If you look at a 1 hour, we have a lower high coming up here at around 64,169. So that was a level I was looking out for. I was actually looking to see if price had come up here, okay, swept this level here, swept that level, and then flushed down. Ooh, that would have been a nice, juicy trade. But what you could have done, so this is the third potential trade you could have entered here. So don't tell me, I'm looking at the charts, I can't quite see where the trades are, blah, 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 blah. There are trades everywhere. As soon as you learn how to trade like this, there are trades everywhere, and anyone can do it. So let's see. If we looked at this little accumulation zone, we can see here that let's tidy this up. If we look at this, if we take the, let me tidy this up so we can see what's going on, because I appreciate, you know, um, clarity is very important, and clarity is key for simplicity. All right, so what we've got here is we've got our low, our range low, and our range high. If we extend this, all right, so that we see this is our range high, and as of the time this play happened, this would be our range low. Tap 1, tap number 2. So we obviously came down here, created this nice little trend line of liquidity. We kind of went up for it, but we didn't quite complete the move because we didn't take out all the liquidity. We took out these shorters, we took out these shorters, we took out these shorters, but these shorters here, they remain, they're still in the game. They're still in the game. The price came back up. What looks to be a break in structure, but it wasn't. It was simply a wick. So a nice little SFP rotating us all the way back. And then we got that third tap, and boom, we started to head up. We broke market structure up here, all right, and we carried on up. However, as we tended towards the range high, what we see is a flip in market structure here. So we can see here that price goes high, 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 low, high, 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 low, high, 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 low, high, 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 low, high, 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 low. Again, remember what we said last time. We can see here that the amplitude of the breaking structures are starting to diminish. They're starting to decrease, which means we have a waning strength, which means we're about to range, which means there is a high chance we flip structure here. So we have a high, high, bang. Then we get that break, retracement, and then further down. So what could we have done here? We could have actually said, listen, why don't we get into a short when we see that flip? If you entered on a flip, great. If you entered on a retracement because you're a patient trader, even better. Where does your stop loss go? It goes below that last high. So this risk to reward is already looking juicy. We're going to do the analysis of all the risk to rewards in a second, and we're going to compare, how you could have capitalized on this market and how you could have entered these trades. Now, looking at this range, you have to ask yourself, why did it not take this range higher? Why did it stop here? You have to always ask yourself this question. So why don't we investigate? So I'm going to draw a line there, and I'm quickly going to see whether we have any supply zones at that level. If we have a supply zone at that level, that confirms that this is a nice model 2 range entry. Nice model 2 range entry, which is simply a supply zone in premium or a demand zone in discount. So let's take a look. Let's see, do we have any zones in there? So I'm looking to see here if we've got any nice little zone here, which would tell us why we got that reaction there. So quickly, let me have a look. Nothing I can see just yet. Oh, that we do have a zone there, but sorry, that one's already been mitigated. Let's take a look there. Nothing I can really see here. 1 minute. The 1 minute is as low as I'm willing to go. Can we see a 1 minute zone there? Okay, so we can't quite see a 1 minute zone. So the question beckons, why did we react there? Why did we get that reaction there? That is the question. Why did we get that flip there? Okay, well, the reason for that could simply be, hey, look, we had this trend line of liquidity that we did not completely take out. All right, we took out some of the shorters up there, but we still had the people that shorted up there. we did not take those out. So this pump up could have just been simply to take out as much liquidity as we can. So we got these guys, but we didn't have the juice, we didn't have the strength to take out, the initial shorters, and that's fine. That is completely fine, and that happens from time to time. So let's just quickly fast forward this. Yeah, let's fast forward this and go back to the 10-minute so that we are where we are. Cool. So that was another trade you could have entered. No reason why you can't enter these trades, right? The moment you learn how to trade like this, you definitely can do this for yourself, and you won't need to rely on me posting a video every day, every 2 days, every 3 days to know where your key levels are, to know where your high predicted probability levels are. So that's what we're looking out for as of now. Okay, are there any other trades we could have entered here? Let's take a look. So as we come down, all right, we're going to analyze the risk to reward in a sec. What happens? We have another flush down. What does that mean? That means we're broken bearishly from that range. We've also flipped market structure on a 4 hour because this is our 4 hour, high low. So we're officially in kind of a bear trend at the moment. All right. So could we have entered another trade? Well, in my opinion, is there anything here? No. And why would I be hesitant? Why is it important to be really hesitant as soon as we start to get here? Well, the reason is we've got, look at all this. This is what we call obstacles. These are demand zones. These are potential places or areas for a reaction. And that's why I would be careful shorting here. However, if you had a more global scope in terms of this trade, you would realize that, hey, this is actually the range. This is the range high and this is the range low. So we're still in premium of our range. So we can still look for shorts if we believe that the target for this range is all the way coming all the way down there. But like I said, there are obstacles in the way. Obstacle number one, these guys. Obstacle number two, Mr. Fibonacci. Obstacle number three, look at this zone. We have this daily zone in there, okay? So there are obstacles in the way. So now let's take a second and look at what the risk to reward assessment might have looked like for these trades. These were some juicy trades. And it's such a shame I've been away from the charts for a while and I haven't actually been able to capitalize on it. Now this trade is beautiful, right? But this would have been even more juicy if we rotated and swept that prior high. That would have made for a very nice trade. And that would have made for a nice PO3, nice power through. We've been getting lots of power PO3s, haven't we? So if we quickly recap, we had a nice little PO3 here where we had our range. Okay, then we had our manipulation, and then bang, we got our expansion downwards. All right. We also had a nice little PO3 here where we had this being our range. Okay, this being our manipulation, and then bang, our expansion. Can you see that? I hope you guys can see that. And we also looked like we got a decent little PO3 here where we had this as our range, okay? This as our manipulation. And could this potentially be the expansion coming all the way down? All right, so very interesting. Bitcoin is doing interesting things at the moment. So as I said, let's take a look at the risk to reward. Like, we don't have much time. And let's see how much we would have made off of these trades. All right. Now, assuming you did not take any profits on the way, assuming you let this ride and you thought, you know what, I'm going to move my stop loss to entry and I'm going to, just wait, be patient and see how far I can take this trade. Well, trade number one was this initial trade. If our entry was there, and we're still in that trade, if we left that trade running till today, that would have netted us a decent 4.4x. What does that mean? If you risk 1K, you've just made $4,400 or pounds. All right. That would have been trade number one. Now, chances are you probably took profit around here. Okay. This is a key place to take profit. You'd have probably taken a bit of profit around here, giving you about 2.9. And, potentially as soon as you got into that zone, you might have tagged the rest of your profit. But that's that trade. That's done. All right. So we're going to get rid of that. I'm going to tidy this up. All right. Trade number two. Trade number two was that retracement trade. So let's take a look at that. That looks like we got slightly worse risk to reward. All right. The risk reward on that one is 2.02. So you risk 1K, you get 2K. All right. So, not great in my opinion. However, remember what I said earlier? If you were looking at this leg as your expansion leg on the way down, given, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and then you're looking at this reconfirmation lower low, lower high. Okay, I got that a bit wrong there, but you get what I'm saying. So low, 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 high, low, 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 high, low, 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 high, low, low. All right. And then you were looking at this reconfirmation, but within this reconfirmation, if you were looking at it in terms of in terms of this market structure being higher high, higher low, higher high, take all of this as a higher high, higher low, higher high, and then that breaking structure. If you were looking at it like that, there's no reason why your stop loss shouldn't simply be at 64,110. And if that is the case, if that was the way you saw the market, because there's so many ways you can see the market, of course. If that was the way you saw the market, man, and you're still in that trade, whew, that would have been a juicy trade for you. All right. That would have been a nice 54x. I think that's probably 55. Let's check. Nice little round numbers. Do we get to 55? Yeah, we do. So that's about 55x trade. What does that mean? That means you risked 1K on that trade, you made 55K. You risked £1 or $1, you made £55 or $55. Not a bad day in the office. All right. And also, how long did that take? That took approximately 7 hours, you know, 6 or 7 hours to make that money. All right. So you made people's yearly salary in about 7 hours. Okay, so not bad at all. All right. Well, that's kind of what's happened so far. Now we've done that 16 minutes. Let's see. We've got about 5 to 6 minutes. Let's see if we can plan some next trades. So big congratulations if you capitalize on those trades. You know, massive well done. Your patience definitely paid off because I'm sure you would have thought, oh my gosh, look at all this boring action on the way up. I know you were hesitant to sort of short anywhere in the premium of this range, and you were, thinking, we didn't even get a deviation at the range high, but bang, you got a nice reaction off of that eight-hour zone. All right, so let's take a global view of what's going on here with Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin, all we've got is we're in this range that's been going on for eternity. We've got this range that's been going on for about 203, 304, 205 days now. All right, this range seems to be tending downwards. We've got low, high, low, high, low. And then we have a nice little trend line here building, a nice trend line of liquidity. We were thinking we will at least come up to test this trend line again before we get that flush down. But it seems that flush, we didn't quite have the juice. We didn't have the juice to test that. All right. And we got the reaction. We didn't even get to the daily zone. We got the reaction of the 8-hour zone. All right. So now my thinking is very clear here. Could this be going like that? Or let's take a look. Could this simply be market structure that looks like? There's several ways we can draw this market structure. First of all, we can draw it as higher high, higher low, higher high, for potentially a higher low, for a continuation up. Let's make this nice and thick. Okay. Now this could be market structure interpretation number one. All right. And this would be a nice zone because why? We've got a nice Fibonacci zone in here if you take a look. Or we could react off here because this is a nice little daily zone if you investigate that further. Or we could get a reaction where we are right now. So that's interpretation number one, regardless. All right. Now, interpretation number two could be we have something looking like this. Well, we had, high, low, high, flipped market structure bearishly, flipped market structure again bullishly, and then we're looking for that continuation. All right. That's interpretation number two. That is a likely interpretation. However, if these zones do not hold, if this 12-hour zone, this daily zone, this fib zone does not hold, all right, that means we're coming back down for these levels. We're coming back down to that daily level, and the whole of the crypto world and the whole of YouTube is going to be going nuts. Is the bear market back? Are we heading back to 30K? Are we heading back to 25K? All right. So that's what's going to be happening. All right. So now let's take a look let's zoom in a little bit more, get a nice, more specific perspective as far as, scalping goes. If we look at a 12-hour kind of looks the same as far as the 12-hour goes. Actually look at the 18-hour. As far as the 18-hour goes, I'm just looking to see what the market structure looks like. As far as the 18-hour goes, we seem to have broken structure bearishly on the way up. So we've got high, low. Let's take this as a high, low. We come all the way up, and we seem to be looking. If we close this 18-hour bar below, then we've broken structure bearishly on the 18-hour as well. All right, which may potentially look something like that. Now let's zoom in. Let's go to the 4-hour. Now, on the 4 hour, this is where you can really start to plan your trades, right? Because on the 4 hour, we could be saying, as we mentioned earlier, we've got our range, we've got that slight little manipulation that's taken out these guys out, and it's also grabbed some liquidity off of these guys, right? It's the people who shorted here, they're out of the game, okay? And we could simply be getting a nice little rotation as far as our range goes. What does that mean? That means we've got a nice little, actually, I think this looks nicer. Nice rotation here, okay? This could simply be what we're doing for a bit, ranging to see before we go up, or just continuing for this range a bit more. All right, that's definitely a possibility. Okay, so that's what the 4 hour looks like. Okay, and the 4 hour market structure has gone bearish. It has flipped bearish, right? And we can clearly see that on the 4 hour because we have this level here that was lost on the 4 hour. If we take the 4 hour zone, we've got this level here that was lost. We've broken below it, which suggests that on the 4 hour, we are due for a 4 hour retracement. Now, where is that retracement going to take place? That's what millions and millions and millions of traders are trying to figure out. Is that retracement going to come back to this 8 hour zone before we come back down? Well, let's take a look. Well, if we go down to the 30-minute now, we've got about 4 minutes to blitz through all these trade ideas. You can see that I've got this zone here. Now, this zone is simply all of the demand zones from this last little range of demand that we had. Inside of this, we've got our 12-minute zone, which we've just about mitigated. We've got below that a 12-hour zone and some, minuscule overlapping zones in here. But regardless, this whole green box is an area of interest. Now, it's an area of interest because as price likes to go up, it has to retrace and come back down before it gets more juice to carry on. Oh, look at that. So I didn't see that. Oh, man. To be honest, I wouldn't have been in a trade just yet. I wouldn't have been in a trade just yet anyways. Why? Because what has price done? As price has come down, it's flushed down. So what am I expecting it to do? I think it could get a reaction here. All right? It could get a reaction here. But how is it going to get that reaction? Well, price could decide, actually, I'm going to come all the way up, and start. It could that reaction could take place here, as I've planned for that, or it could come back to this 8 hour zone and then flip in market structure before we get that short down. All right. As far as what price action is doing on this leg down, it's very straightforward. It's doing this retracement, this, maybe a retracement, a deeper retracement back into this zone. Hence why we've got this 8 hour zone before we have that flush down. But be careful. Why? We've got this hazard warning here. Why have we got this hazard warning here? Be careful. These are risky. Why? Because it's risky because we've got this demand zone here. This demand could simply be the juice that takes us up here. So where is the key zone to watch? We have to watch this 8 hour zone to see, are we going to be able to reclaim this 8 hour zone, maybe get a retest like that before we carry on up. All right, so this is a key zone to watch, 100,000%. All right, now we were also looking at this as a range, but that idea has just been demystified. Why? Because we've broken out of this range. So we were looking at this zone as a range. I did say, be careful here. Hazard, hazard, hazard warning. Why? Simply because price could easily do what it's just done, carry on all the way up. And I also said, look, this 2 minute zone, by the way, all these levels were pre-planned before I started the stream. All right. Now, this 2 minute zone could also be a reaction point. And look, we have got a tiny reaction here. We can see that as price came up, we got a nice reaction of this 2 minute zone. So do not sit there and tell me 2 minute zone supply and demands don't work. We are seeing it work in action. But that's not to say that this 2 minute zone is going to break structure. Because if we drop down to the 5 minute, our market structure still looks intact. We have high, 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 low, and we have a high, high all the way up there. So we can't really justify a short based off this 2 minute block until we take out this level, unless we create more market structure here. All right. All right. So what am I looking out for then? Some of my ideas have just been, they've kind of just gone bust, haven't they? Especially this one. So I can get rid of that. Okay, we don't need that anymore. But what I can do now is I can say, right, because price has dropped, because price has had this flush, what is price likely to do? Well, it's likely to range for a bit. It's likely to consolidate for a bit. And that's what we see here. We see this ranging. Why? Because price had that flush down, retrace, flush down, retrace, flush down, retrace, flush down. However, we haven't had another flush down, have we? We've retraced and we're kind of sticking around. So why not say this could potentially be a new range where you have price doing something like this. So it's flushed down and then it's ranging a little bit up there. Okay, relaxing. Could do that for a bit, then could react off here for that sweep up, or it could continue ranging and then react somewhere here, wick into this zone for that flush down. Regardless, I'm going to be waiting to look at my market structure to see what is market structure telling me as I get into that zone. Am I getting a flip in market structure as I get into that zone? So as of now, our range is not confirmed. So as of now, we just have to wait and see to see what price does before we carry on. But definitely set the alert on this 8-hour zone. I'm going to set my alert there for that trade. I'm also going to set my alerts down here for that trade. This is the key zone to watch. If we get a reaction off there, we're going to be in for the short. But don't hold that short forever, right? Because we still need to see what's going to happen at these zones because we have these overlapping zones, beneath this green box. So that's definitely a key one to watch. We could get a reaction at any point here, any single point here, and price could just do that. All right, we could be looking to do that. So definitely keep an eye out for that. What else? Is there anything else I want to make you aware of? And so right now, as far as long and short scalps go, that's kind of it. Looking for a short from this 8-hour zone. I'm gonna wait to see how far this goes up, this retracement leg, because this is simply a retracement leg from the flush down. If we get a flip in market structure during that retracement leg, if it happens before we touch that zone, I'm gonna be in that trade. And then I'm gonna watch to see how far it gets down. Do we SFP this level for that long trade? And what if price continues to go up? Well, if price continues to go up, what am I doing? Well, I'm watching this range high now. I'm going to be watching this range high. That means we're coming back out for this level. And also, if price continues to go down, if it flushes down, well, we've got more obstacles beneath. We've got this daily zone. We've got so many obstacles beneath. We've got this daily zone. We've also got this fib zone. So, you've got to keep your eyes peeled, keep your eyes on the chart to see if we get a reaction. But we could just, come further down like this and have a nice little flush. Retrace, come down, retrace, come down, retrace, come down, retrace, come down for that flush. And if that happens, well, there's no reason why you can't be looking at all these levels for a short. Look for a supply zone at the top. Look for a supply zone here. Look for a supply zone there. Look for a supply zone there to simply get a nice little reaction off each and every one of those zones. All right. All right, so that's a lot of information I've fit in there actually, and that hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you understand that. If you don't, hit the follow button. Hit me up on tradejournal.co.uk. Feel free to book in a session, book in a lesson, so we can talk about price action and put together. I'm currently putting together like a trading. I won't really call it a trading course, but kind of like a trading academy. Whereby the way I think about trading is like, for example, if you went to university to be an engineer or to be a doctor, you spent 4 years, 5 years, mastering that skill, understanding the theory, understanding the practice, and then you went into the field. Similar thing we're doing with trading here. So if you are interested in potentially getting part of like a trading academy, definitely hit me up. Hit me up on the website. It's something I'm putting together, and it will just kind of remove the veil off your eyes. It will kind of remove the mist off the screen as far as understanding price action. Anyways, I hope you all have a great week. That's what I'm looking out for. And I will see you when I see you.